Next on Wicked Wheels, we check out a custom 1968 VW Dune buggy.
Hi, I'm Fred, and this is my 68 Volkswagen Dune buggy. I bought this from a guy who rolled it in the ditch, and it was only 3 years old, so it was mechanically in pretty good shape. And in those days, in my early 20s is when I built this, so I was just barely stick welding. Couldn't afford a Myers-Manx fiberglass body, but that's what I would have dreamed of. So I saw a guy who built something very similar to this. So I took the body off the Beetle and did the Myers-Manx chop, where I chopped the entire floor 13.5 inches, butted it back together to give you that shorter track, and it looks a little better than having a back seat. So people always think that this is plywood, but it's actually square tubing with riveted sheet metal. It started life as a Volkswagen air-cooled, and then I ran across on Auto Trader, this guy had a racing dune buggy, basket case, but it had the Kennedy engineered adapter plate. So this is a 1975 Mitsubishi Colt engine. I think it's 1600. And with that adapter plate, it'll mate right up to the Volkswagen transaxle. So now I've got the problem of cooling. So what I did was I just went to the Auto Wreckers and got this out of who knows what. And I've got a fan on there that downdrafts, and it's activated by a thermistor, so whenever it gets hot. And there's a bit of free air going on with these fins here. So when I'm going down the road, it captures some air and then filters down. And you know what? It's worked for all these years. Put together a stainless steel homemade exhaust system. We got a side draft Weber carburetor. One of the great things about this Volkswagen is that the one thing that never has broke is the fuel gauge. People look at me when I'm at the gas bar because they don't realize in the old days this is how they used to do it. Never broke down. I grew up on Lost in Space and Star Trek, so I was a real Trekkie, and I like push buttons and pilot lights and stuff like this. So I got this out of a calculator and took the buttons out of it, and this is actually my ignition. So there, ignition on, starter motor, kill. And I still get a kick out of it. And I can't believe it's worked for all these years. In Canadian Tire, you could get these chrome, cool-looking little steering wheels, you know, and of course, I didn't know how to get the puller or anything like that. I mean, so I've literally welded it right on the shaft, and it hasn't come off, so I think we're doing good. This is a sort of a family logo emblem that I've come up with over the years. This is just resin with the cast aluminum manta ray on there. I was always in love with the sound of the Yuga horn of those old cars, so Canadian Tire actually sold these for like $20 or something. And it's lasted for the whole 51 years. Little kids go crazy when I do that. Anywhere you drive this, it's like you're in a parade. I mean, the old ladies smile, young kids smile, everybody reacts to it because it's just kind of cute. A few times I was going to just scrap it because it was looking rough, but it's one of the few things I've kept from when I was just a young man. So I've had this for 51 years, and off and on it's been on the road for a long time. I like the look of woodies, so I had to put some wood on this. So this is white oak. It's just stained and varnished, many coats of varnish over the years. Nothing but the best paint job. This is what you call a bucket and broom paint job. It's trim coat, brushed on. I don't know how many layers are on it. This is made out of plywood and one skin of fiberglass on it. When I wanted to resurrect this, it needed a lot of work. A few years back, I thought, well, I'm going to go back to the air-cooled engine. But both of my boys, they were going to string me up. They said, no, that makes the Dune buggy. And I said, well, at least get a new plate. He says, no, Dad, that's a 73 original plate. You can't, that's all part of the character. I'm kind of glad I listened to them. It doesn't matter where you park this thing, there's going to be mice that get into it and chewing up wires. And they've chewed wires, and I fixed wires. So I put this complete battery shut off before every time I walk away from it so that I don't look in the parking lot and there's a big fireball in the parking lot because something's shorted out. So this just turns the power on, power off. It's just good safety. So 3 years, I pulled it out after it hadn't been run for 10 years. and the brakes didn't work, and it was in rough shape. So I dropped $8,000 into having the entire suspension and the brakes. It's now got disc brakes, and it even has disc brakes for the emergency brake as well. And to give it the right stance, the front rims are smaller than the back rims to give it that meaner look. You got to remember, when I was in my 20s, I had no money. So obviously, I'm just scrounging everything I could. Actually, I even scrounged my own old leather jacket, and I upholstered this myself. So this is 51 years old, you know? One bad thing is the wind comes around here and will just blow your hat right off. So I put these reflectors on that pushes the air out a little bit to give you a bit of a break. I think it really adds to that vintage look of the vehicle. A little bit of stainless steel, scrounged from who knows where. Steering box access is here. Had the entire beam completely rebuilt. The mechanic said, I wouldn't allow you to drive this around the block. It was a death trap. So he replaced the entire I-beam, and I got it done at John's Bug Shop in Niagara Falls. I've been to Sudbury. I've been to the States with this thing. When I first built this had a plexiglass roof and walls on it. It was completely sealed with doors. I drove it right through the African lion safari. Probably not the smartest thing. The lions are walking around this thing, and that motor, they seem to think it roars or something, so they pay a little more attention to it. But that's since rotted off, and I like it better as an open car. And at one point, I actually had the windshield folded down. Now that was something, bugs in the teeth, driving it that way. And I am capable of building something way better than this now. But the thing is, like how crude it is, I don't want to touch anything. It's like patina on a rusty car. It is what it is, and it's got character, just like these old cars and stuff. I just like the patina on these.